when I first started, like I knew nothing about television. So
That's so
I mean,
wild.
I would look at the scripts and they would say like jib, and I was like, "What's a jib?" Or like it said camera one. And I was like, "Which one's camera one?"
Really?
So and then they would talk in my ear and they'd say like camera one, but I'm trying to read the script, and I was like, "Please get out of my ear." Now, of course, it's like second nature,
Is
but
it?
in the beginning, it was rough because I'd never done it before, and
That's
it's
crazy.
a lot of like multitasking.
Yeah. I
So
can't even imagine because then, but plus then you have like things coming in, right? Like
mhm.
on the screen, and then you have
Yeah.
your sometimes a person
Right. They have like
live.
this thing called like it's your confidence camera, which is usually like right underneath the camera that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So you can sort of see, you can like cheat to see what it looks like. So sometimes, on election night, for example, they'll be like, here are the results. And you won't know the results, but you kind of have that confidence camera to be like, oh, so you can see, I don't know, just CD18. Christian Menefee is in the lead and Amanda Edwards. But you're picking that up on the fly. Or like sometimes at the
Wow.
Capitol when they were doing late nights, we'd cut in and say like, what you're seeing right now is a feed. It looks like that, and then I'd have to explain it, and then come back to the script,
Yeah.
which I'm still working on. But
So do you feel like a quarterback, like when he's getting the play brought
oh
into
yeah,
him? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
they're telling you to audible.
yeah, yeah, a little bit, a little.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the difficult part is like when they're like, we are short 30 seconds, so you're gonna have to
Are you
stretch this thing.
serious?
So, how do I eat 30 seconds here? So you like talk slower,
Really?
or try to just like ad lib something. But the as you know, as a comms person, the danger in ad libbing is like you don't know what's gonna come out. So I try to have like a couple of things on hand that I like to do when we're like stretching something out.
Wow. So
So
that's the hot route that comes in.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, man, I'm glad you're here on the show. Here's your coffee. So what was the order? Sorry, what do it again?
The order was just a basic latte with oat milk.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just very, very basic. Everybody makes fun of me. So.
Well, here, cheers, brother.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for being on the show. Really
So
appreciate
happy to
it.
do it. So excited to be on here with you.
Man, really pumped to hear about your story. You've come kind of you've kind of transformed, right? You've been big changes have happened lately from where you started, where you are
Right.
now. But everybody on the show gets an intro, so let's go over your bio, see if you remember everything you've done.
Okay.
So James Barragán is the Capital Tonight anchor for Spectrum News. He joined the team in 2025, real recent, and after nearly a decade of covering Texas politics for the Austin American-Statesman, the Dallas Morning News, and the Texas Tribune, James earned his bachelor's degree in history from UCLA and minored in English. In 2024, he was selected as a Nieman Fellow for Journalism at Harvard University, where he studied the erosion of democracy in the United States at the state and local levels. His reporting has earned him numerous awards, including nomination as a finalist for the Livingston Award for Young Journalists in 2023, and twice named a finalist for the Toner Prize. Am I saying that right? Toner Prize?
Toner, yep.
Toner Prize for political reporting. Welcome to the show, James.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to bring you around everywhere I go with me to hype me up just like that. It sounds very impressive when you read it like that.
It is very impressive. And do you remember doing all that now? I mean, like,
Well, the Neiman Fellowship is, that one is pretty recent. So
Yeah.
I definitely remember that one. And yeah, just really great memories of all the places that I worked at.
okay, so you're a journalist.
Right.
You are a journalist. That's
I'm the
define it.
media.
Yeah, you're the
some
media.
people may be, if they're watching it, they may be confused that there's no devil horns on my head. But we are the media.
Yeah. I want to start from the beginning, kind of see how did you get into this? When you were a kid, did you know you wanted to be a journalist? Did you know you wanted to be doing this kind of reporting?
It's really funny, Hector. Like, so I grew up. Spanish is my first language, so I grew up speaking only Spanish. And in my household, my mom, who's from Mexico, she speaks basically only Spanish. Like, I mean, she understands it. She's a citizen now, so she understands it.
Yeah.
But her preference is to speak in Spanish.
Okay.
So we used to grow up watching Univision, Telemundo.
Yeah.
And so my journalism sort of heroes or just references were like Jorge Ramos, Pedro Sepsek, Diaz Balart. So
And these are monsters in the industry.
they are monsters in the industry. I mean, Diaz Balart now is in English, so it's that's what I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And so that's what I understood as news, and it was super helpful for me, just sort of how they looked at it. They were very, I mean, it's for a Latino audience, so they were very cognizant of their Latino audience, and that
Yeah.
sort of has informed me, like, what is my audience? So whenever
Okay.
I'm writing, back when I was writing stories, now that I'm on TV, I'm thinking about where we run in the state and
Yeah.
what is important to them, I'm always thinking of that.
Okay.
But that's a long-winded way of saying, like, I grew up always watching news,
Yeah.
but it wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to do.
Okay.
Never in my life, or never early in my life, did I think I wanted to be an anchor of television news. But I did love politics because we were always watching the news, like I said. So
Yeah.
I love
So it was
politics.
like a family thing to watch the news.
Yeah, I mean, it was always
Okay,
on. It was
okay.
always, and it wasn't just the television. Like, in Spanish speaking households, the radio is a huge thing. So
Yeah.
we were always watching or listening to talk radio as well.
Yeah.
A lot of talk radio. It's about news. Same thing. They very much know their audience. But I was very interested in politics, and so I thought I was going to go that route. But then, as a kid, I got disheartened. I was like, "There's a lot of dirty work that goes into
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I had the heart for it." But so I like the idea of being a writer, which is what I really, really wanted to do. And my favorite writer is Gabriel Garcia Marquez
Yeah.
of Colombia. He wrote 100 Years of Solitude. I loved all his writing, and I was researching him, and he had said that he had been a newspaper writer. He had been a
Okay.
newspaper reporter. That's how he got his chops. And he said it was the best training ground for my writing. And I said, well, if Garcia Marquez can do it, or if this is his route, like, what
Yeah.
better way to do it?
Yeah.
So I was at school at UCLA, and I just, I was first generation student, had no idea how to do anything.
So are you
And
born and raised in LA?
born and raised in LA?
Yeah.
And I was at UCLA for college, so I stayed there for college.
Yeah.
And I'm there, and I want to be a book writer. I want to be an author.
Okay.
But I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my favorite writer has said newspapers are how I got my training. And so I signed up for the student newspaper
Yeah.
thinking, like, okay, I'll learn how to write and
Yeah.
then move on to other things. But turned out I really, really loved it. And I loved, just getting to learn. I got to write so much
Yeah.
and getting access to so many things and meeting so many interesting people and traveling. Because as a kid from a first generation, low income neighborhood, like I was not traveling a whole lot.
Yeah.
And the newspaper was paying me to
The
travel.
UCLA paper?
Yeah.
What's it called? What's the UCLA
It's
paper
the
called?
Daily Bruin.
The Daily Bruin?
Yeah,
Okay.
shout out to the Daily Bruin. And they would pay me to travel to, I went to San Francisco. I went to all kinds of places around the state.
Yeah.
Just to write stories or to work for the newspaper. So that was really, really cool. And I still wasn't even really sure that I was going to be a newspaper reporter until like senior year. I said, well, let me give this thing a go.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll give this thing 10 years. And if I'm not liking it, I'll go to law school or something,
Yeah.
or I'll go to grad school and do something else. And that's how I got on the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was your first gig then at that point?
My first gig was I got a fellowship at the Los Angeles Times right out of college.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
which was
That must have been sought after.
it's super prestigious. It used to be called the MetPro program. Now I forget the name of it, but it runs for like a year, and then if you stay on, you get another year, and then it's a question about whether you're going to get hired.
Okay.
Because it's a very prestigious paper.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year. It was a massive learning experience for me, because going from a college paper to like one of the best newspapers in the country, which has
Right.
won loads of Pulitzers and has very experienced staff, it was a huge jump. And
Was staff kind? Was staff kind to you, helping you learn?
I wish that they had been kinder.
So you got the rookie treatment?
Exactly. Yeah. And I totally get it. I didn't understand it at the time, but this was also like right after like the economic crash in the late 2000s.
Okay.
So a lot of people had, lost their jobs. People were worried about where the industry was going. They had already seen sort of the writing on the wall. And people just did not have the time to nurture young reporters, especially in a big place like that where it's super competitive.
Yeah.
They are trying to compete with the New York Times, or
Okay.
they're trying to compete with those national papers. And there's less and less time to sort of nurture young reporters. I did have some really, really great mentors there. Hector Becerra, who's now one of their managing editors, was my huge mentor.
Really?
And he helped me out so much. He still continues to help me out today. So it's not like there wasn't a whole lot of people, but it it was like getting thrown into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I was ready for it, to be honest. Like I again, being a first generation American,
Yeah.
and sort of understanding how to network, how to behave in a professional setting, professional office setting, how to carry yourself. Because I'm from an immigrant background, and we are very much like blue collar people.
Yeah.
And we think like, okay, if you put your head down and you work hard and you don't showboat or anything like that,
Yeah.
people are going to notice.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is that you do kind of have to remind people of the
Yeah.
work that you're doing, and you have to show up to the networking events, and you have to have good relationships with people so that when evaluation time comes around,
Yeah.
they remember, hey, here's that kid that was working on a Saturday or something. Here's that kid that was coming up with some good ideas. And I just wasn't ready for it at the time, but I learned a ton, and I covered courts, I covered sports, I covered my home area of California, which is the Inland Empire. Shout out to the 909. And
Oh, so you
I,
got to go cover stuff in your own
it's a
background,
great
or backyard.
internship.
Wow.
And it's a great internship because you do a bunch of things. Like I said, I covered courts, I covered breaking news, I covered sports, which was awesome for me.
I bet. Yeah.
And covered my own backyard, which was really, really great. Like as a sort of roaming correspondent, which
Yeah.
was really, really great. But that ended, and I had an internship here in Austin at the American Statesman. And so I said, hey, my internship is coming to, my fellowship, excuse me, is coming to an end. I'll probably be looking for letters of recommendation. If you'd be willing to write one for me, I'm going to be applying for a job soon. And the editor that I had worked for there as an intern said, yeah, we'd be happy to write you a letter of recommendation, but we also have some job openings. You should look at these and come work for us if you're interested.
Yeah.
And I saw them, and I applied for one in like August, and by October I was back here in Austin, and I've been here ever since.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And that was it. Just jump. Came to Austin.
Yeah, I just came to Austin. I mean, it makes it easier. It makes it easier that Austin is such a fun town. I love Austin.
Yeah.
And that I have family in San Antonio. I have aunts, uncles, cousins in San Antonio. So it's, some people leave home and it's very hard for them, especially as young people, because they don't have family to go to. I mean, 4th of July, some of these, not the big holidays like Christmas or Thanksgiving. I just go to my cousin's house in San Antonio. Yeah. So it made it easier.
Which makes sense. Seeing cousins on 4th of July.
Exactly.
That's the holiday to do it for sure.
Right.
Wow. So you took the leap of faith. I'm going to Austin. I'm doing my career out there, and first time out away from LA at that point. And when you're doing all these different subjects, and obviously you love sports.
Yeah.
Right. So when you did sports, did you get to go to some of the games and see some of the games?
Yeah. The sports thing was the most fun for me because, and this tells you how long ago I was there, but like Clayton Kershaw was coming back from, I think like from some, it might've been a Tommy John surgery that he had.
Okay.
And he was coming back from an injury, and he was playing like in the minor leagues. So I got to go cover him in the minor leagues.
Wow.
I got to cover my favorite soccer team, the LA Galaxy. But I was also doing a bunch of other things, like, and this is the great thing about newspapers and being in news. I was covering like the Tour de California, the bike race, which I knew nothing about, but I had to just bone up and like read about it.
Yeah.
I was covering like, I think like car racing. I covered it was the AFL, I want to say, like the Indoor Arena League. There was this team that was owned by Kiss, the band.
Are you serious?
And they were called the LA Kiss, and it was a whole spectacle, and it was just so much fun to cover, and also to cover amateur sports.
Yeah.
Because these guys are just doing it for the love of the game and for
Yeah.
that one tiny little hope that they'll get back in the league,
Yeah.
But it was just such a fun ride to cover that stuff. And that sort of what got me. I was just like, this is just like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then, okay, so now you've moved to Austin.
Yeah.
Has social media started to become a thing for the news yet or not yet?
Yeah. I mean, social media was already a thing when I was in college. So I graduated from college in 2013, but even when I started, Twitter was bubbling up.
Okay.
I remember we had Jack Dorsey come visit UCLA.
Did you really?
We had Jack Dorsey come, and we sent somebody to go talk to him, and it was already out there. And they were already telling us we need to be on social media, we need to be like updating the news.
Oh, so they're telling you this now?
Yeah. So
Already.
we were all. I'm in that generation that really, I would say, was like the early generation of that kind of social media on news. Like we're breaking stuff on Twitter. People are following you on Twitter.
So you grew up with it then. So it's not like you had to adopt to it.
Yeah, no, I was
or adapt to it.
Yeah. No, I was coming up with it.
Okay.
And I think we were even using Facebook, which even at that point was already, I mean, even at that point was like starting to become like the older people social media. Yeah. But
People forget, you know.
People forget. It used to be like college people were on there, and you had to have a college pass or a college email to get on it.
Yeah.
Then they opened it up. But by the time I was on it, it was still like most of my college friends were on it, and we were like, we were just being college kids on it.
So did you miss the era of MySpace where you had to rank your friends?
No, I did. So in high school, I was on MySpace and I had to rank my friends. And that, you know, kids today, you don't know the difficulties of ranking your friends
on a weekly or daily basis,
having to go from a top 8 to a top 24 because people will get mad at you. But then I got to college and everybody was on Facebook, not on MySpace. So I had to migrate over
there
to
you
Facebook.
go.
Yeah.
No more ranking friends.
No, thank God.
So you're at Austin. It's still traditional. Are you at a traditional newspaper now?
Yeah, I'm at a traditional newspaper. The Austin American Statesman was a very strong local paper.
Yeah.
We had an amazing team when I started there. Amazing editor, Debbie Hyatt, who's now running KUT. She's great. We had an investigative team of like 5 or 6 people who were winning awards. They were like beating the Washington Post. They were beating PBS Frontline. Their work was just so top notch that I was just so fortunate to be in such a strong local newsroom and learn from people like that who had been doing it for 20, 30 years, which is something that I fear like is not happening that much anymore. And you don't have those people to learn from, because I look around and I'm 34 and people are looking at me like I'm the old guy.
You did do MySpace.
Yeah, exactly. I did do MySpace. But there's something to be said about having people who have been doing this in the business for 20 to 30 years, have had the experience. This isn't their first rodeo. They've done a redistricting round, let's say, or they've been in a difficult election and have seen things happen because they have that experience. And I was just so fortunate early on to be able to do that at the Statesman. And I worked there for a couple of years and then just bopped around other Texas newspapers.
And why do you think we don't have the experienced, grizzled, fedora journalists smoking cigarettes on the typewriter? Why don't we have that? Why don't we have the veteran journalists anymore?
It's a tough question. I mean, it's no surprise that for newspapers, the advertising revenue model has sort of gone out the window. That's not a secret. We used to make all our money basically on that. Now,
and you're saying like print ads, like the paper
print ads, okay. You used to get your I don't know, like Kmart and all these offers from the grocery stores. They were like inserted in your newspaper. Well, people used to pay for that. There's also like ads inside the paper for local businesses and stuff like that. That doesn't really sell anymore. I mean, it sells a little bit and people are still holding on to that, but it doesn't sell like it used to, because now we have Google, now we have ads on Instagram, ads on Facebook, ads on Twitter, where people are. And it makes sense for advertisers to go there. But that is a revenue that newspapers lost that they haven't really come back around to. And what they've switched now to is subscription models. The Boston Globe and the New York Times. The New York Times is in a league of its own, honestly. But the Boston Globe is the one that I refer to because they are a strong local paper that has a subscription model that basically pays for their newsroom, for how many people they have, for all the heads that they have in their newsroom. It pays for that.
So they're in the black because of subscriptions.
Correct. And that's where every newspaper wants to get to. But the question is, if we're just paying for all the heads that we have here, how much are we actually paying these people? And, some of those grizzled veterans were getting paid really, really great salaries because the newspapers were still rolling in it. I mean, when I was at the LA Times, they used to tell these war stories about, there was some kind of plane crash, a small plane crash in Hawaii, and the national desk was fighting with the metro desk about who covered Hawaii.
Wow.
About who covered Hawaii. And I think it was a small plane crash. I can't remember how many people were in it, but basically both of the desks, I believe, sent people there, and there were more LA Times reporters covering the plane crash than the people who were actually involved in the plane crash. And this is LA to Hawaii. It's just not short. And even when I was at the Statesman, they used to tell me, oh yeah, we used to get helicopters to fly down to the border, and we'd do some like border coverage.
Wow.
So that's the kind of money that we're talking about.
That was the heyday.
Exactly. And the kind of lifestyle that you want to have if you're working for a top class newspaper like the Dallas Morning News, which has won 9 Pulitzers. You envision yourself, if you're a top reporter there, you're going to win X amount of dollars, at least in the 6 figures. And a lot of the time, I mean, a lot of reporters, even at some of these papers, are not making 6 figures. Mm-hmm. And these are people with college degrees, sometimes 2 college degrees. And so it gets tough.
Yeah. I guess it makes it harder to attract talent and maintain talent.
Right, because you start getting good and you say, well, I want to be a lead reporter here. What can you do for me?
Yeah.
And the reality is sometimes they can't do that much for you. Like I'm telling you, like 6 figures. Like sometimes the newspapers are like, we can't get you to 6 figures. We'll get you as close as possible.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the New York Times comes calling, or the Washington Post comes calling, or one of these big national, even digital outlets comes calling, and you're like, well, I'm just going to go there. Why would I stick around here and make less money? Or what happens a lot as well is you start having kids, you start wanting to have a family, you start wanting to have a home.
Yeah.
And a nice job comes along, a communications job.
Yeah.
Which is difficult in its own way, but it's a little bit more predictable than news.
Yeah.
And people say, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes sense, right? I mean, that's kind
Totally.
of what we're seeing in the industry. If you can't keep up, you're not going to be able to maintain talent, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, does it become more of a, people move up, and then at a certain point, you're just going to have to start bringing in newer people?
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing here in Texas, where we have such a strong press corps.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was at the Morning News, I hated the Texas Tribune.
Okay, why?
Because they have so many people, and now I've worked at the Texas Tribune, so when you're in it, you love it. When you're in it, you love it.
It's like being a Laker.
It's exactly like being a Laker. Exactly right. But I just hated them so much because I thought at the Dallas Morning News, I mean, we had such a great team, but we had only like 5 or 6 people. But I thought that pound for pound, we were better than the Texas Tribune.
Yeah.
Pound for pound.
Yeah.
But people don't care about pound for pound. When people are looking for the news, they want the outlet that's going to give you the news the quickest and the most easily accessible. And that is without a doubt the Texas Tribune. They've just got, and that's their whole business model. They want to be the biggest state house bureau in the country, which they are.
Okay.
And they do amazing work.
So they're the biggest.
They really are the biggest.
Wow.
I mean, I think they've got like 50 reporters or something, 50 people on staff.
Okay.
That might not be all reporters, but they've got a lot of reporters compared to like the bureaus that the Morning News or the Houston Chronicle had. But to my point, when I was at the Dallas Morning News, I mean, I wanted to beat the Texas Tribune all the time. And I not only wanted to beat the Texas Tribune, I wanted to beat the Houston Chronicle. I wanted to beat the Austin American-Statesman. And the Houston Chronicle wanted to beat us.
Yeah.
And they had really great reporters. I mean, they had folks like Brian Rosenthal, who went on to the New York Times and became a Pulitzer Prize winner. At the Morning News, we stole away Lauren McGaughy from them.
Yeah.
But see, we were stealing really great reporters from each other.
Yeah.
And we were fighting with each other. And that like raises the level of the news because we're all in competition.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, if there is like a cutoff financially for people, and you want to do all these things that I'm talking about,
yeah,
and you can no longer do that, then there is that we got to reload.
Yeah.
And it is like sort of sports teams, right?
Yeah.
Where are you a buying team or are you a selling team?
Yeah.
Well, the big papers like the Chronicle and the Dallas Morning News used to be buying teams.
Okay.
And I think in the ecosystem, within the ecosystem of Texas, they still are buying teams,
Yeah.
but they're also selling teams for the bigger national papers.
Okay.
And so they're constantly reloading with like very young, ambitious talent.
Yeah.
So we always have like good talent, but it's that institutional knowledge
Yeah.
that sometimes gets lost. And the institutional knowledge is crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's what basically like in any industry talks about, like, hey, they're the ones that give you your ethics or gives you like, hey, just like,
Yeah.
you know, this is the way this is the way we work. This is how, you know, you
Yeah.
put it out. And when you're doing this, when you're there, you're still printing, right? I mean, your articles are getting printed.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. I mean,
it's all in the newspaper. Yeah,
it's all tangible. And did you like ever like frame them? Did you like framing your articles?
I kept a lot of my articles, like my print paper articles for sure.
Yeah.
And for example, like at the Statesman and at the Morning News, we were print products for sure. But even then, we had already started when I got there, this sort of digital first transformation. Like we want to get the news up immediately. Like
Okay.
we don't want people waiting until because the people are not going to wait till 7 a.m. when it shows up on their front porch. Like
Yeah.
they're going to go on the website and they expect to have news on the website.
So that happened while you're working there.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was already a thing that was going on, but
Okay.
it was like it's sort of that transformation of like these folks, the grizzled veterans who
Yeah.
were much more used to having a really well thought out article in the 7 a.m. paper, versus like us younger kids coming in being like, no, they just need the who, what, why, when, where, like right now.
Yeah.
And so that was a transition, and we started perhaps too late, honestly, by the time I was like coming up.
Yeah.
But we started making that digital first transformation so that it was a huge focus. And for me, that was like my go-to. I was like, yeah, why wouldn't we have it on the website?
Right.
So I guess what I'm saying is like, yes, we were printing out my articles and they were coming out in the paper the next day, but the focus had already shifted to being like, let's get it up on the website. And sometimes like at the Dallas Morning News, we would get up my story on the website in like 20 minutes if it was a breaking news situation.
Wow.
And then a fully fleshed out article may not run for 2 or 3 days in the paper
Okay.
because the premium was on like, let's get it on the website.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
transformation was already well underway.
And do you see that do you see another transformation because of AI or some of the new social media stuff? Is there more of a transformation going on now?
I think
with the
that
newsroom.
yeah, I mean, I think we're in the middle of a transformation, and it's sort of like something that I'm trying to follow as I track my career trajectory.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I started off in newspapers. Now I'm on television. Now there's this AI thing going on that
Yeah.
we're not quite sure how it's going to impact news, but we're all worried about it and we're all thinking about it. For me, like, I think the transformation is a lot on like video.
Okay.
And people getting their information on like TikTok or Instagram,
Yeah.
and much more through video. As much as I love the written word,
Yeah.
there's less and less people who are reading that, I think,
Yeah.
or who are willing to pay for that. Like if we're really trying to get a much broader audience, I think it is a lot of video. I mean, podcasts like what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So I think we are in the middle of a transformation, and it's incumbent upon news leaders to figure out like how to monetize that, because you don't want to what happened with like the internet
Yeah.
to happen again, right? Because you lost basically your entire ad revenue.
Yeah.
And how can you keep up with this new transformation that we're in and be able to monetize that?
Yeah.
Because you can't just make a podcast if you're a news organization. You can't just make a podcast for free. Like you got to
Right.
sell ads on it, buddy, or
Yeah.
you got to monetize it. Any product that you have, you got to monetize it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think the news industry needs to figure out.
Yeah.
If we're gonna survive.
Is that the biggest challenge right now? Is just trying to figure out how to move forward?
How to monetize it,
Yeah.
Hector. Like I'll just be straight up. Like
Yeah.
it's how to like people want the news.
Right.
People do want the news.
Yeah.
But how much are they willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
Or how many eyeballs can you get on the product so that you can run ads on it successfully?
Yeah.
That is the question, and that is a question that nobody outside of the New York Times, and maybe the Boston Globe at a local level has really figured out. That's why
Yeah.
you're constantly seeing layoffs and layoffs and layoffs, because
Yeah.
they still haven't figured out how to monetize it or replace their previous ad revenue.
And you know what it feels like? I don't know. I'm I remember when Napster came about.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I
Yeah.
don't remember Napster, and like,
Yeah.
and people were used to going to the store and dropping $17 on a CD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By then it was a CD, and then all of a sudden Napster came around, and people were getting music for free.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but then you're like, and then it kind of like the market kind of fell apart, right? Like
Yep.
you were like, wait, we have to pay for music, and you said like still younger people are like,
Right.
what are you talking about? You would go and not just buy like a single
Yeah.
or just
Pay
have-
99 cents on iTunes Music.
yeah, or just get it for free,
Just
you know? Yeah, just be able to listen. So it seems like it's kind of like right there, right? Like where people are trying to figure it out. But just as a consumer, whenever somebody gives you something for free versus when you pay for it,
Yeah.
you know that if you're paying a premium, you're getting a better, you know what I mean? Like you feel like it feels like you're getting a better
Here's my
product.
question, Hector. I
Yeah.
think that you and I know that
Yeah.
for sure. I think that you and I know that because we're in communications. Like
Yeah.
I'm on the journalism side. You're a communications professional, and you know, particularly when you have clients, you want to take them to someone who is a serious person.
Yeah,
But I don't know that the consumer does.
right.
And that's my question. Like, there's a lot of, for example, there's a lot of YouTubers out there
Yeah.
making a ton of money.
Yeah,
Sort of pretend. I don't even know if they pretend, but I think people see them as not journalists exactly, but like these guys are truth tellers.
Yeah.
They're gonna be critical of the government, or they're gonna be just for as an example, here's a guns rights YouTuber, since we have so many in Texas.
yeah,
And they're telling me what the government is trying to do or whatever. But what I find with these YouTubers is that they're not particularly telling you both sides of the issue.
Yeah.
They're not particularly telling you what some of the issues are with some of the stances or with some of the policies that people are trying to push. So it gets difficult because people are like, okay, yeah, I trust this person because they're telling me sort of like how I feel.
yeah,
But they're not, I mean, they don't meet journalism standards that we have to meet.
right.
But they're racking up views on YouTube,
Yeah.
and that is monetizing that.
Yeah.
And then they're selling merch and doing all these things that us in journalism, we can't really do.
Yeah,
So that's the question for me. Like, consumers are not paying for that content.
right.
I mean, not out of their pocket,
Yeah.
right? But advertisers are paying for that.
Yeah.
And so that's the question for me. I don't know how we get to that place where we say, okay, if you pay a premium, you're going to get like actually really, really good content. It's eating your vegetables, and
Yeah.
nobody, if someone's going to give you a burger or
Yeah.
a pizza versus vegetables, you're like, I think I like this burger.
Especially if it's free.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Why did you make the jump to video? Because you're a writer,
Right.
you know what I mean? You're wanting to write novels,
Right.
You're
Right.
writing articles.
Yep.
Even if it isn't strictly paper anymore, now it's
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah.
You're a writer.
Yeah.
What made you want to jump in front of the camera? I mean, that's a big step.
It's a huge step. It was a scary step. Yeah, I mean, I didn't go looking for the opportunity.
Yeah.
My very good friend Karina Kling used to run the show that I now run,
Okay.
or not that I anchor, and she stepped down because she had a family.
Yeah.
And she said, I want to spend more time with my kiddo, which
Okay.
is understandable. And I think that they were having a tough time finding the right fit.
Yeah.
You got to be good at TV. You got to know a lot of Texas politics.
Yeah.
And I had been a frequent guest on the show.
Okay.
So I think when they were sort of like kicking about the ideas of like, well, who might be good? The producer kind of came up with the idea like, well, if you like it, like you're good on TV and we can
Yeah.
teach you TV,
Yeah.
which was a whole other adventure. But I had to try out and go do the thing, and I needed a little bit of help, so they said you need to make these adjustments, and they got me a coach to do it. So
Wow.
it all kind of ultimately it worked out, but in the beginning I think there was hesitation on their part
Yeah.
of like, this could work, but you're gonna need more help.
Yeah.
And I said yes, absolutely, and I'll take all the help I can get. So
So you got to be humble about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that came about, that they came to me and said, hey, are you interested in this? And it was a big leap.
Yeah.
So I had to think about it because I did have a fantastic job at the Texas Tribune,
Yeah.
which I'd been doing for 4 years.
Because you made it to your Lakers team. I mean, you're there.
Yeah. I was there. I mean, it was, and it's an awesome place to work. I mean, you have a lot of backing. People across the state know it if they're interested in Texas politics.
Yeah.
But I had just come back from the Neiman Fellowship at Harvard, which was a great year of just kind of like self searching and self discovery and like sort of what I want to do next and what are my goals in life.
Yeah.
And career wise as well, but in life. And the reality too is, Hector, that I just wanted to get paid more as well. It's sort of, you hit that kind of threshold of like how many more things, because I'd been on the politics team, which is the top team there at the Texas Tribune, for 4 years, and got to a place where, you know, it's like we're doing the same things over and over again. You just kind of get to a point where you're like, something different might be cool. I think that happens a lot now in like careers, like something new and interesting might like jolt me.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity came up and I said, well, I don't need to do that, but could be fun. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just keep doing my awesome little job at the Texas Tribune.
Yeah.
But I got the opportunity and I went to go do it. And I'm so happy I did because, you know, the Texas Tribune is a leader on the digital front.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got podcasts. They're trying to do a lot more video. They're online only. Not talk about like transition from newspaper to digital first. They're online only. They're digital always. They're digital first. They're digital second. They're digital last. They're digital everything.
Yeah.
So that was a great move for me. But now I'm trying to get on the other wavelength, which is like doing video and trying to tell the news in that kind of way, which I think will also be changing a lot. When you think about how we record most of our video now, which is, you know, with our phones, and we do it like this, for the reels and for Instagram and for TikTok. So I'm trying to ride that wave, and I've got a lot to learn, but I just felt like I think that this is where things are going to go. Yeah. And it would be nice for me to at least have an understanding of how that gets done. And so I'm excited to be part of that, and the ability to be at a news desk and be an anchor and be on people's televisions every night at 7 is across the state is very cool. Like I get texts from my cousins in San Antonio. They're like at a little Mexican restaurant and they're like, you're on TV. So that, I mean, that's,
I'm at work.
So that's really, really like, what a cool thing. Like
full circle for you, right? It's back to the kid in LA watching.
And that's what I was, exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's like very, very cool. Sometimes it's like a pinch yourself kind of moment. I mean, obviously nowhere near that level, but you are on TVs across the state. And your friends and your family are watching. Sometimes I get on national hits. Wow. And my aunts in California are texting my mom like, hey, we see him, which is like really, really great. I mean, like what a dream to like get on TV. How many people can do that every day? So
absolutely. Cool. Now you've always been in politics. Why politics?
So in the beginning, I wasn't in politics. In the beginning, I was covering, and it's a typical sort of like first job at a college situation at the Austin American Statesman, where I was covering like minority affairs, Latino affairs, neighborhood issues, like city council is mad. The neighborhood is mad at the city council. So I was doing a lot of that, and I was covering like charities, philanthropy. There's a lot of charities here in Austin. And it's one of those things, and my advice to anyone is just like make the best of the job that you have, because I was just like getting after it. I was like, let me tell these stories in like different ways. One of the biggest charities in Austin is Livestrong, so I covered Livestrong a lot, and that got me a lot of attention. And the great people at the Austin American Statesman really liked me and really helped me, and they wanted to develop me, and so then they put me on the path to state government and politics. And I was starting to do a job for them, which was like the intersection of business and government, which is huge, obviously, here in Texas. And I did that job for about 2 months, and then I got snatched up by the Dallas Morning News. Really? And that's when I really started covering like politics deeply. That was around 2017. And I just haven't looked back because it's addictive. Like Texas politics is crazy and it's hectic. It's a full contact sport, but it's a lot of fun. And
you're still doing politics now. And so how do you maintain where, because it feels like right now people accuse the media of being one way or another, but it seems like y'all been able to avoid that. it seems like you're just covering these issues and covering
Yep.
folks. How do you do that? How do you do that in this age of rage?
Yeah.
And
Age of rage, that's good. Yeah.
How do you do it?
Yeah. So Capital Tonight is on Spectrum News, and it's the only daily politics show in the state of Texas. So if you're like a real politics head,
Yeah.
we're on every single day, Monday through Friday at 7. And so one of the advantages of that is like we get a lot of the interviews early before some of my great colleagues, like the Sunday shows at WFAA, the Sunday shows on the Next Star channels. They're just on Sundays, so they get amazing interviews as well, but we get them every day. So a lot of time we get to do it first, which is super, super exciting.
Yeah.
But to your question about how do we navigate that in this age of rage, as you so eloquently put it, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because, as I was sort of joking, people think that you are the media and you've got these like little devil horns on your head and you must see the world a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think, frankly, people in the press sometimes do that to themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's part of what we're talking about with like that transformation from being a newspaper reporter, where all that people know about you is what's in your byline.
Yeah.
So they are guessing as to how you feel about one issue or another based on what you've written, which ideally they won't be able to guess, because ideally it's right down the middle and you're getting all perspectives. To the age that I was growing up in, which is that newspapers were actively encouraging engagement.
Yeah.
Newspapers wanted you to be sort of a personality, a brand.
Okay.
And this is where we get a lot of these, I'll say it, annoying journalists
Yeah.
who are just out there giving you their opinions and giving you their thoughts. And it's not really analysis. It's just kind of how they feel.
Yeah.
Which turns people off, because people are like, what? This is just like your opinion. Like, nope, this is not, you're not citing this to anybody. It's not an analysis coming from a study. It's just like, this is how you feel based on how, which is there's a place for that and there's a name for that, but that's basically a columnist.
Yeah.
Which is different from what we do, which is reporting, which is telling all sides of the story. So a lot of it, and I'm not saying I never did it. Sometimes you're a little heated and you're like really ticked off about something.
We're also human too.
Exactly, and you're human. And when I was younger, I did some of this. But as I got older, as I matured, and as I started covering Texas politics, I realized people are watching this.
Yeah.
So people, if you give any hint of bias, they're going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
And that may turn people off to talking to you.
Yeah.
So it is a hard thing to do as a journalist, but this is sort of, it's like the Godfather thing, right? It's the Godfather thing of, this is the business we chose.
Yeah.
So
it's a great line.
It's the business we chose.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just have to put your feelings aside, put your own emotions aside about how you feel about a certain issue, because that is not our job. And actually part of our job is not saying that, because we don't want a perception of bias.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I don't want to give any clue about how I feel one way or the other.
Yeah.
Sometimes what people perceive as a bias is difficult, because sometimes, Hector, a lot of things are happening right now in politics which are unprecedented.
Right.
And we've never seen them before.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit crazy,
Mm-hmm.
just given our history as a country and as a state. I think that's fair game to point that out.
Yeah.
So, when we've got this debate about property taxes, this debate about the Trump baby accounts, and whether that is a conservative policy or it's not a conservative policy, when we've got tariffs, which historically conservatives have seen as a tax.
Yeah.
And now suddenly people are telling us that's not a tax. I think that's fair game to point out, because there is a history of this, and there is studies, and there's very well respected people who have said, like, here is where the line is, and now we have crossed that line. And I think that's fair to point out. Yeah. But when you're just going out there and saying, I don't like this policy, this is a bad policy for, like, that's something else that's different. So it's something that I'm very conscious of, and I try not to impose like my bias and how I feel, for that, I call my mom.
Yeah.
Or call your friends. Sometimes I see people's tweets and I say, get a diary. I say, get a diary, call your friends, text your friends.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it that much harder for you as a reporter. And then also, particularly on the show, we track like how many Democrat guests we're having versus how many Republican guests we're having, because people catch on to that. If your show for 5 days a week has only had Democrats on there, they're gonna be like, there's a little bit of a weird spin on this.
Starts to look like a duck.
Exactly, it starts to look like a duck. So we want to have Republicans on the show. We want to have Democrats on the show. We want to have independents. We want to have liberals, conservatives, libertarians, Greens, all of them, because that is the discussion that people want to have, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we have that kind of coverage.
Yeah. And how would, and you know, sticking with that, how would you recommend the normal human consume news? Because I'm sure you get it from your friends and from your family.
Yeah.
You'll get a text and they're upset.
Yeah.
And you're trying to, and you don't know what they're upset about.
Yeah.
So you have to watch the video, and then, you know,
Right.
you know, and in this age, is we kind of sometimes we live in this vacuum, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone can live in their own vacuum where the algorithm tells you how smart and your belief system is fine.
Yeah.
And there's really no other belief system besides yours, and anyone
Right.
else is wrong. And that's fine if you want to live that way. But how would you recommend to people when they're consuming the news, they see something like, I can't believe this is happening. They either want to post on X or they want to call their friends.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, my Republican friend, I can't wait to tell him this, you know?
Yeah.
And so how would you recommend people consume the news? So try to turn the temperature down.
That's
like, how do we adjust the thermostat when people to watch the news and consume it?
Yeah. Well, number one, watch Capital Tonight on Spectrum.
There you go.
And this is sort of counterintuitive, but I actually recommend to people watch less news.
Yeah.
Watch less news. Like, go touch grass.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, unless you are super in it and you are super part of an organization, or you're in the thick of it, like you have been, working for candidates or working in public offices, there's not a whole lot that you actually can do. But if you want to do that, then you can. And there's many, many ways to get involved. But for the most part, I think just being cognizant of what the issues are is, and making sure that it doesn't consume you, I think is the best way to go. So I say, limit how much news you're actually taking in. And then we get into this question of like, well, then what kind of news are we looking at, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I say to people always is, if your favorite news outlet isn't at least sometimes challenging your perspective and your worldview, you're probably not getting the best news.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how much you love a politician, which one, I don't think people should love their politicians, but think about with your partner, with your spouse, with your wife, you're not going to agree with them 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you're going to agree 100% of the time with a politician?
Yeah.
And a news outlet is not going to point that out? If your news outlet makes you feel just comfortable all the time, then they are not serving you correctly, because there's absolutely no way that your favorite politician sees the world the way you see the world 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So try to find a place that will at least challenge you. You can't always get that, but the best places do that. So I say, like, find one that you really like, that's your worldview. Could be the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times, whatever, depending on your perspective of the world. But also find an outlet that sees it the opposite of you. Yeah. And what are they saying? Because, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's right.
And you might find, like, every once in a while, they're like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And at least you know what the perspective of the other side is. So I would say that, and then I would say find a national outlet that you like, and then find a local outlet, because you got to know what's going on in your local area. But definitely try to limit it to, like, maybe an hour.
Yeah. That's what the doctor orders.
Honestly.
Now, have you had PR and comms people pitch you stories, I assume, in your career, what would you recommend to folks trying to get either their clients or their policy? Because I assume also, since you're getting candidates, you're getting comms people from the campaign getting out to you. What do you recommend to them when they call? Should they be pushy? You know, like what is your what have you seen that is most helpful to you?
I would say sort of know the outlet and know the reporter that you're reaching out to. It's fine to be pushy if you've got something really, really good and you feel like they're not getting it. Although I just work that way. I don't know that other people work that way. But I would say, like, know the reporter that you're reaching out to. Are they covering the things that you are trying to pitch? Which for me is politics. And so most people know that I'm covering politics and they come to me with politics news. And know the outlet. Like, someone at the Dallas Morning News isn't going to be interested in someone running for Congress in San Antonio, right? But someone at the Texas Tribune might be, because they're statewide. Someone at my show, for example, which is statewide, would probably be, because it's statewide. And then when you reach out, you got to be clear about what the ask is. Not just like, hey, you want to have my guy on, or my gal on? Like, here's what we can talk about. Here's what we'd love to talk about. And we're not always going to agree on like what exactly is newsworthy, but you know, there's a give and take there. And at least if you give me an idea of what it is that you want to talk about, you got an announcement, we're happy to talk about it. Like, that helps out a lot more, because I've also got to pitch it to my team and say like, hey, do you guys find this interesting? So that's what I would say. Like, know the background of the people that you're talking to, and also like, why is this relevant to their audience, and like, what is the actual pitch? Not just like, hey, like, have my candidate on. Like, okay, but what are we going to talk about? Like, because it could be a snooze fest. Like, is there going to be news? Is basically what I always ask.
Gotcha. Hey, and you got a crazy season coming up, right?
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
It's like your Super Bowl, right? We're coming up.
One more thing for you, Hector. I mean, for the comms people in this is like, have good relationships. I mean, you and I have had a really, really good relationship. And I think I've met you first when you were working for Commissioner Bush. And you know, the coverage of Commissioner Bush wasn't always flattering.
What?
Sometimes it was difficult, tough stories about him. But you and I always had a good relationship, because there was that give and go. And I think that I'd like to think that when the commissioner was having nuanced conversations about the electorate, about what Texas politics actually looked like, that we covered that as well. But it's having those relationships, and you and I have been through quite a bit of rounds with the commissioner, and we've maintained in contact even afterwards. But you know, we go out and have coffee and just talk and just kind of shoot the breeze about, hey, how are things shaping up, and that makes me much more likely to take your calls afterwards. And also, you know, I just had a thing where there was a candidate dropped out of a pretty high profile race recently. And we'd been talking with his campaign throughout. And again, same thing. We'd had some tough coverage of him, but then we'd come back and did more stories with them to allow them to sort of express sort of what their thoughts were on the race. And they called us a day before their announcement came out that they were going to drop out of the race, to say, hey, listen, this story is coming. And that's helpful for us, because we remember that. We remember this person is good at communicating. They're good at giving us a heads up so that we're not caught flat-footed and trying to scramble the day of. Like, having that preparation is super helpful. So having those open lines of communication in the difficult times and the good times is always good.
That's great. And being honest, right? I mean,
being honest.
The honesty. Well, so what's next for you?
What's next for me? I mean, I'm so new, as you alluded to at the beginning, to TV. I've only been doing this 9 months.
That's amazing.
Less than a year. Less than a year.
And you're saying kind of like a quarterback, right? Because they're in your ear.
They're in my ear. Yeah, they're in my ear all the time. I've gotten a little bit more used to it, but you know, I've still got so much to learn. I think that I've learned so much. Like in the beginning, Hector, it was like drinking from a fire hose. Just the amount of things that I had to learn. I'd never read a script before. I'd never worn an earpiece before. The flashing lights of the studio were so harsh on me.
Bright lights.
Yeah, learning how to put on makeup for the television.
Yeah.
So a lot to learn. I like to think that I've gotten better. I've really enjoyed the relationships that I've built with public officials, with elected officials, to get them to come on the show. So I'd like to keep growing the audience of
Yeah.
Capital Tonight and doing the really best job that I can, and just learning so much more. I think there's opportunities for me to do all kinds of other things at Spectrum News, where I work right now, in terms of field anchoring, in terms of doing bigger, more in-depth pieces for television. Because right now our show is 30 minutes, and there's quick interviews and quick things here and there. And I'd like to do some more in-depth projects,
Yeah.
and just keep getting better at this new craft that I have.
Yeah.
So just keep working at it on Capital Tonight, and that's what I'm focused on right now.
That's exciting, James, and really appreciate you coming on. If our audience is trying to find you, where can we find you?
Yeah, well, I'm at spectrumlocalnews.com. If you go on the Texas website, that's our website. If you have Spectrum, where you don't need to look very hard, we're the first channel that pops up. We're
Yeah.
on it at 7 every day, Monday through Friday. Capital Tonight is the name of the show, and it's, like I said, the only state daily politics show in the state of Texas. You can also find me on Twitter at James_Barragán, and it's the same on Instagram.
Awesome. We're gonna put that all in the link. So, thanks, James, again for being here. Really excited that you made some time during your crazy season that's coming up for you. So,
Yeah.
really appreciate it. So, if you like what you saw, please hit that like button and the subscribe button. Thanks, James. Appreciate it.
Of course, happy to be here.
Yeah. Thank you.